Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another episode of Channel Your Light, Own Your Intuitive. We are actually doing a special channel information thread for the full moon coming up in Gemini. If all of you watching this channel are as sensitive, intuitively, energetically, emotionally, spiritually, as I suspect you all are, otherwise you wouldn't be here, you will have noticed that this is one of the most powerful full moons, and that's because it's in Gemini. It's rising in Sagittarius. Gemini is the twins. It's a light and the dark. It's our shadow natures. It's our deep subconscious. It's literally the full absolute illumination and amplification of some of our deepest core wounds, whether that is identifying the core wound, whether it is you projecting them, whether it is you sensing them. And I'm being told many of you will experience your awareness of them through subtle epiphanies. Some of you it will be obvious through the projection of others. And for some of you, you're going to be dreaming about this. So I may or may not share a dream that I had that speaks directly to this. When I say it's the deepest core wounds, this is literally the uprooting of some of the deepest subconscious programming, attunements, versions, ideations, or concepts. And for a lot of us, these are going to be things that we had no idea. Like, oh my gosh, that's the root of what all this has been. That's why I've been stagnant. That's why I've been waiting. That's why I've experienced this. It's like everything's coming into fruition. Now, I was also told that I was to do this in three separate groups of subsets of souls based on wave 1, wave 2, and wave 3. You may attune to that as the Dolores is here as the waves of volunteers. So you may attune to it in that aspect. But it really is predominantly also based on the level of internal work, which is also based on individuals' journeys. So whether you're in group 1, 2, or 3 is irrelevant. You will be able to decipher which one you need to watch, or perhaps there's a message or that you're drawn to based on the titles of each of the individual groups. I usually don't do this in this way. However, I was told very specifically that I needed to do that. So I am following my intuitive knowing. I'm following my guides. I'm following Dolores apparently because she has some messages through this. Before I dive into group 1, 2, and 3 and the different messages for each of them, I just want to touch base on the very fact that because this is such an illumination of the subconscious and any patterning, like it's like, oh, I do this pattern. I'm seeing this is the place where we're pulling at the root, the seed that created the root and the pattern, and we're showing you the seed. And that's why for some of you it's shocking. I'm hearing it will be shocking what you identify. And not to have shame or guilt about it, but rather to release it and let it go and understand we're all learning lessons. We're all on our own individual journeys. We're all at different places. And yes, hurt people do hurt people. However, most of you who are on this channel are here to break the chains of that. So it's healing those wounds. It ends with you. Ancestral chain breakers is what I'm hearing for that one. So this is really highlighting some of the things that perhaps we haven't seen, things that are super, super deep, so much in the dark that no light has hit there or potentially won't unless the divine helps us pull that up and out of us, whether it's through interactions with others, whether it's through dream state, whether it's being highlighted, because you have to remember during this great awakening and during this phase, even though we're experiencing this individually, I just want to remind some of you that the entire collective consciousness, those who are at a certain level, are going through their first dark night of the soul. So just to put it into perspective for you, how enormous this energy is, this is why we have seen I want to say chaos on the world stage, whether it is projected, whether it is half illusion, half truth. At the end of the day, whatever it is a form of chaos, a form of disorder, creating divine order through it. So just be mindful that there are many, many people. This is the Great Awakening, which means mass groups of people are going through an awakening. And if you all remember what happened when you first had your awakening, it was through a dark night of the soul. That's very intense. It's very deep. It's very dark. We often feel lost in that place. So to put this into perspective of, yeah, this is the Gemini full moon in Sagittarius. And yes, there's all kinds of astrological things lining up. I always hear trines. I always keep hearing, what's the trine? Or here's the trine. I wish to say the Jupiterian energy is opposing whatever the other energy is. I don't know what Gemini's ruler is. There's another ruler. So if you know that, please pop it in the comments for the other viewers, what Jupiter is coming up against. I want to say it's Pluto, but Dolores is like, no, it's not. Stick with Jupiter. Jupiterian energy is Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius. So Sagittarius is what? Philosophy, higher learning, expansion, all of those beautiful, wonderful, high vibing, high frequency things that just open our minds. Through this process, a Sagittarian energy asks us to look at things with opportunities. And what that means is whatever's placed in front of you, to have total trust and faith in the universe, expand, learn, be curious, look at everything that's coming up right now as, oh my gosh, I wonder what that means. Or, oh my gosh, this is an opportunity for me to step into this. I'm being told this is why we have asked you, Aaron, this is why we have told and asked you to do this in 3 separate groups, because the different groups will be attuning to different levels or aspects or steps during the process based on their individual journeys. So I want to start with group 1. There's a lot of heart chakra energy in group 1. I consider this to be the last wave. So if Dolores says wave 1 volunteers, wave 2 and wave 3. So wave 3 for me is group 1. There's a lot of deep, dense, heavy. I'm seeing like a tomahawk through the heart chakra. There's another reference to that. I'll share that later. It's almost like that aspect. And the reason why it's so deep in the heart chakra is group 1, you are literally facing your deepest core wounds. And I mean the wounds that are at the absolute base of your subconscious. It's like if you were to swim down to the bottom of the ocean, we're not going 1,000 feet deep. We're not going 2,000. We're literally going to the very bottom to pluck this out, because it's literally one of your base foundations that doesn't work for you. I'm being told you will be able to identify this through relationships, through your dynamics with people in your life. So this could be parental relationships, any mother wounds and any father wounds. They are going to be clearly identified, and not just identified, you're actually going to be shown the track or the trajectory that you continue to choose because of that deep core wounding. Deep core wounds, like if you think about it, it's been scientifically proven that a large percentage of our, I'm tripping on my words right now, which is so interesting. So that might be a confirmation for one of you. And I'm also feeling in my throat chakra. So this could be in relation for one of you in terms of your parental relationships. If you think about the subconscious, we make a lot of our decisions based on subconscious, completely unaware. This is just a pattern. This is what I do it. It's an autonomous response, an autopilot. And we don't even realize it. And yes, conscious creators do this too, because there's just so much in our subconscious. So group 1, your deepest core wounds are going to be so obvious. It's going to be in your face is what I'm hearing. You are typically, this group, you are going to find yourself projecting out and blaming at others. So what that means is somebody will trigger something in you that's a lack or a wound. So this is a lack of love. Perhaps I'm getting detachment styles. So like avoidant style, detachment style. I cannot remember what that's from, but it's a trauma or a wounding scale where you can literally read through them and identify what the style is, I guess you could say, or a deep wound that they have. And this is their reaction, or this is their natural pattern in dealing with it. So there's avoidant style, avoidant detached. There's the cling on, the clingy style. There's all these different things. I will look that up and I will pop a link to it in the comments in the video description box below so that you'll be able to access that if you feel like that is calling you. Because when you understand yourself and what your tendencies are, this allows you to be able to heal that wound and change the pattern. So group 1, you will actually find that however you're triggered, it's actually dominantly ancestral. It's dominantly ancestral burden. That's what I'm hearing. It will come from predominantly a mother or a father, deep, deep wound. You may feel like you are having a dark night of the soul. To be clear, a dark night of the soul is not the same as a spiritual up level or a spiritual construction. Perhaps it could be, depending on the person. For me personally, and most of the people that I work with, spirit separates these. A dark night of the soul is like a calling of everything. Whereas a spiritual construction or an up level or moving to the next level is you found your balance in your foundation. You do know who you are. We're just removing some of this excess stuff, the excess limitations, I want to say. So that's the differentiation between a dark night of the soul and a spiritual construction. For some of you in group 1, this is, to be clear, a dark night of the soul for you. It is going to feel deeply uncomfortable. You will be forced to look at your deepest wounds. And although we may attune, I have HEKATE here, although we may attune to that as a bad thing, she's saying this is where you rise. You cannot rise if you have not identified the thing that is holding you down. It is a beautiful energy to allow what is dead and done to actually die, to allow for the rebirth. It's allowing yourself to perceive the darkness or the things that have continued a perpetuation of darkness that you have not perhaps seen before. HEKATE says, or HEKATE says, and never be afraid of the dark, for you are beauty and you are wonder, and all the things that have occurred in your life will only strengthen and amplify you. They can only strengthen you when you truly understand the base, root, seed, and foundation. Darkness is not a thing to be afraid of. It is an intrinsic part of you, for all is birthed out of the darkness, including the light. For how does the light know it's the light? Darkness is not a bad thing. It is meant to be used for good. That is the base. And I'm hearing premonitions. You may have premonitions. For whoever this message is for, she's talking about having significant premonitions. So she says, you specifically, whoever this message is for, have been having premonitions of the future. You've also been remembering the past. And even though I attune to them as all happening at once when we go away from the linear time and we move into the quantum field, she says that's irrelevant for this group 1. This is really about base root foundations. You will have noticed, she says this year has had major towers. It's been shocking. She says you will have perceived it as being somebody else's issue, but it's actually your own. It's actually somebody being the mirror for you so that you can receive the deep wounding that you have. Some of you are going to have massive feminine wounds. This is from distorted mothers. Mothers not giving you what you need, not giving you, and everybody's different, right? Some people, I'm hearing somebody on here, your mother was an alcoholic or had an addict, and it created great and deep trauma. Because of this, you've carried the burdens of that trauma, but there's also pieces and parts of you that got left behind because nobody showed you that. They showed you the opposite. You had to literally, I'm hearing whoever's in group 1, you will definitely know this is for you. You will have found yourself trying to justify why you need somebody's energy or somebody should be in your life, something to that aspect. So it's almost like a lack of worthiness, a lack of self-worth. And most of us on the earth plane are trying to build up our self-worth. And that's not everybody, but for a lot of us, we have been told that we're not worthy when in truth, we were born worthy. That's just how it is. So we're all calling that back. But group 1 specifically, this is somebody who's had a very difficult journey with a mother. The mother figure is sticking out for me so intensely as an addict, as somebody who was emotionally unavailable, somebody who was so broken within themselves that they could not possibly have given you anything that you needed, none of the foundations. You have, the burden of this has been tremendous, and the amount of dark seeds in your subconscious that drives you towards negative things that are not for you, things that treat you poorly. It's like you're constantly giving people 30 chances, whoever this is. And you could be a divine masculine or a divine feminine, but these are the mother wounds. So you may have found yourself justifying, as in trying to get people to respond to you. I don't know what this is called, but it's almost like when somebody, it's like somebody you try to put hooks to get people to respond, but you don't even realize that's what you're doing. You can't understand why things aren't working out, but the reason they're not working out is because you have the hooks, because you already have to fill it within you. You have to fill yourself with that love. So this is being identified. What is the best way? Now, I don't want to just identify. You will know if this message is for you. It's clear as day. You will also know if this message is not for you, so don't make it fit. You are definitely going to be one in the other groups. For some of you watching group 1, this is simply a confirmation of what you already know, you've already gone through, and you've already identified. Perhaps it's just bringing a couple of other things up. Usually we expect a response from people or cling to a response from people because we have a deep wound, particularly when the people aren't giving us what we need. It's usually a repeat of something from our childhood. And not all the time, but I'm being told whoever this message is truly for about your deep core wounds coming up right now, you're in group 1. You're the third wave, just going through another dark night of the soul. And yes, this may not be your first dark night of the soul, but this one will be intense, is what I'm hearing for whoever this group 1 is for. So I don't want to just leave you with this is what's going on. I also want to, HEKATE says, identify tools to help you navigate through this period of the dark night of the soul. When one surrenders into it and stops making the journey about everybody else and simply goes within and says, what does this mean to my soul? What does this mean to me? What am I being shown? Where am I feeling hurt that I need to fill myself with love? Like, these are all just self-inquiry questions based on the mirror concept, the psychological mirror concept. But it goes much further than that, says HEKATE. When one is required to love oneself, it is not about taking a bath and getting a pedicure and a massage and looking in the mirror and doing affirmations. She says you need to rewrite the subconscious. You need to literally rewrite what you believe to be true about you. That's your I am root foundation. You need consistency to rewrite that. You need to focus 1000% on pouring into you. And I say this because when you have mother and father wounds, and all of us do in some way, shape, or form, no parent is perfect. All of us have those little idiosyncrasies. And oftentimes, if we don't catch them or if we don't identify them and try and right them, they get projected onto our children, which continues in the lineage. And each level does it a little bit better. So this isn't about blaming your mom for being a terrible mom. This is more about, HEKATE says, your power lies in accepting that this is what occurred. If you continue to blame your mom and it's her fault that you are the way you are, it means you cannot take accountability and step into your power. In order to step into your power, you must be willing to look at this and say, yes, that happened. Yes, that was not fair. Yes, this made me feel like this and this and this and this. And now I'm taking back my power because I am no longer going to allow that to define me. I'm going to heal those pieces because you're an adult now, is what I'm hearing. So you'll know if group 1 is for you. This means journaling. This means listening to high frequency music. This means letting out all the emotions that you didn't before. You will find treasure trove. That's what I'm seeing. You will find a treasure trove in this. And I'm seeing the To the Sea card. Like, this allows you to, I want to break free. It allows you to break free. And that's what we want to do. So I feel like this is your warning, group 1. You are going to be recalling and pulling up some of your deepest core wounds. And sometimes when we hit that darkness, we feel like, what are we doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong. Everybody is in a shift right now. We're just at different stages of the shift. This stage is not bad. In fact, this stage right here, this group 1, it's imperative. You can't do any of the other stages unless you have looked at this I am root foundation. It's the basis that everybody will go through at some point or another on their journey. And again, everybody's will look different. Some people don't really attune to dark night of the soul unless they've been through it in some way, shape, or form. Then after they've been through it, come out the other side, they're like, whoa, what the hell? So to be clear, you will know if this message is yours. Do not make it fit if it's not. Do not try and see where you can fit it in. It will be very clear. It will be part of your story. There will be specific validations. I feel like I need to tell somebody your grandmother is showing up and they're talking. Somebody's grandmother is here for this group 1. They need you to know how proud they are of you because it wasn't easy. Nobody said it'd be easy. Nobody said it would be this hard. Nobody said it would be this hard, right? So I feel like they're coming in as a confirmation and a validation to acknowledge the difficulty, to acknowledge the lack of everything that you needed, that you didn't get. But good news, they're saying we get to fill you with that with spirit. In order for us to fill you with that with spirit, you must be willing to receive it from yourself because you are spirit. And in order to receive divine love, you must recognize you are divine love or feel worthy. Sorry, your grandmother's saying you must recognize that you are worthy to receive divine love. And this is the exact opposite of what your childhood felt with your mother. You will know if this message is yours. I am sending you big, big love. You have got this. You're going through this because you've got this. And in addition, you are moving through a significant transition. So just remember, this too shall pass. I keep seeing that to the sea card, to the sea. The reference for me is HEKATE. Can we talk about that? This allows you to go to the sea. It allows you to get in the boat. This will identify your abandonment issues. She's saying abandonment. It's like you're sitting on a little, I'm seeing the actual physical card. I'm going to see if I can find it here in one of my decks here. To the sea. I don't know what deck that's from, but it's a girl sitting in a boat. I don't even know that I have that deck here. It's a girl sitting in a boat going out to the sea. I usually like that because it's like, yep, it's time to take a new journey, and that new journey requires me to untether myself from the versions of me that got stuck in my mother wounding that said I wasn't enough and I wasn't worthy of love. That's the to the sea. Okay, I can't find the card, so I'm just going to roll with that because that's intuitively what comes through for me as the meaning and message, even though that may not be whatever that card is. I don't even know what deck it's from. I think I know, but anyways, that's the message of to the sea is if you want to set sail to a new version, a new location, a new place, a new way of being, new relationships that are actually fulfilling that you don't have to push and pull, you have to deal with this wound. And in addition, you have to deal with it so that you can be untethered, so that you can literally set sail to the next phase of your journey, to the sea. Because the next phase, that I am foundation, needs to be written over. I'm hearing rewritten or completely pulled out and written anew in order for you to be able to have the appropriate foundations for the next phase of the journey. You're not doing it wrong. If you feel like all hell is broken loose, if you feel like you got crazy emotions and all those things, and it's really related to your experiences with others, and it's a pattern, like it's something that's come up before, it's not the first time that you've experienced this, and you haven't really delved deep into it, this is the time that Spirit is like, you're doing it now. That's what it feels like. It's like Spirit is forcing you to look at your deepest core wounds because they want you to succeed. They want you to move forward. They want you to expand. They want you to know that you're loved. And the only way you can do that is if this comes up clearly to be removed. So yes, it feels chaotic. I feel like it's a darker energy, and I feel like that's why HEKATE has shown up for that darker energy. Honor your journey and recognize that you are divine. You are worthy of divine love. And until you decide you are worthy of that, how are you going to receive divine love? If you've decided you're not worthy, or decided you have to push and pull or do things or manipulate or coerce to get love. This is a very, very potentially triggering message for anyone who feels like they're really in the muck. But I wish to tell you, you're stuck in the mud for a reason. These are good things. They feel really rotten and bad. And it sounds silly that I would say, oh, that's really good. I'm saying it's really good because I'm looking at where it's leading you to. I'm saying it's really good because, damn, I know you don't need that. I know you're worthy, but you don't know you're worthy. So that's the definition, right? It doesn't matter if I know you're worthy. It doesn't matter if the divine knows you're worthy. You need to know you're worthy. So I am sending whoever is in this group one, big, big love. You're not doing it wrong. All I can see is green everywhere in my mind's eye, which is always the heart chakra. So when I say tomahawk to the heart, this is somebody who has deep heart woundings based on childhood, and which would have carried through into your relationships. You probably married somebody who was like your mom or your dad, or there was just some semblance of you didn't quite get to learn the lesson, so you moved on in your life and became or went to connections with people who are aligned or in tune with that same energy so that you could continue to heal it and overcome and transcend it. So don't be afraid of the dark. If you want to look up HEKATE, again, I will put a link to, I don't even know what the best thing. I feel like y'all could just Google HEKATE, see what you can find there, go what you're drawn to. That's really a divine feminine energy, but I will not say that it's not for divine masculine. I will leave that up to each and every one of you to decide that for yourselves. But that is the group 1 messages. I feel like it's a warning. Here's what's happening. Here's what you can do about it, and you're going to be okay. That's what I feel like. That's the gist of group 1 for those really deep core wounds. Deep core wounds are sometimes hard when we haven't really seen them. So have compassion for yourself, surrender into the transformation, know you are transforming, metamorphosizing, and shifting into a new way of being. This is just the identifying and removing of those different things. So group 1, wave 3, those are your full moon messages. And if you are drawn to group 2 and group 3 messages, you're welcome to watch those too. You'll likely know from the title whether or not there's something in there for you as well. There might be some fluidity between the three. Yes, let me tell you, this is my guides, one of my guides. There will be some fluidity and flow through between each group, as it's natural when people move along that ascension, transformation, and expansion process. So if you feel called, check out the group 2 video for the full moon messages. And until next time, beautiful souls.